I hope that I didn't just lose all of my sheets, but I might have. I did not. Pog, I found them. Because I restarted my PC, finally. But I didn't save sheets. I kind of like forgot. So maybe we just actually make a new one and save that one. Make it a little more thorough. So, what is the best team now? Is Beidou back on the menu? No? Just people just use Escoffier. That makes sense. Alright. I mean, let's take a look at Escoffier first. So, how the fuck do the stacks average even look? Like, what do they look like here? Like, if you do Yai, E, Escoffier, E, Qiqi, E, what is happening passively? You have 1 full stack per second from Yai, 1 full stack per second from Escoffier. It also rounds down, apparently. Oh my god, you know what else rounds down? Slay the Spire. Okay, sorry. Does Yai hit only once a second? Yeah, yeah, each turret is once every, like, 2.9 seconds, so it's about 1 per second, including all 3 turrets. It would be more than that if the Stellar Conduct hits count, but I don't know if they do. Qiqi, across the 15 seconds of uptime, has 9 cryo hits. And then with a coordinated attack every 2.2 seconds is like another 6-ish. So it should be about 15 hits in 15 seconds. So it's probably also about 1 stack for Qiqi. And then Sandrone, I mean, she has like about 15 seconds of field time. And across those 15 seconds, they're 27 plus 3. So it's about 2 stacks. And if the Stellar Conduct hits count, it would be 4/3, 1, 1. Yeah, so 5 to 6. But if it rounds down, then this 5 will generally be 4 to 5, not 5. And this 6 will generally be 5 to 6, not 6. So if they say from the testing that it's generally 5 to 6, then the Stellar Conduct hits probably count. Is Fischl now better for faster hits? Fischl doesn't hit that fast with Sandrone, because Sandrone does charge attacks, not normal attacks, so the C6 doesn't happen. And your cryo is too fast, so you don't have Ascension 4 procs either. How many stacks should I assume? Probably look at like 5.5 average and change it to 4.5 if the Stellar Conduct hits don't count. So stacks 5.5, and I'll refer to this cell so I can change it by just changing this. Okay, what weapon should we give her here? We don't have external EM, so it's probably Mild Flower if you have it. Otherwise, I'll Shadow, but that's meh. With the Shadow set, Widsith, Fav, TOM. Is that true? Is there a world where we can run Instructor Qiqi? If you do like Escoffier E, Yai, triple E, N1 Qiqi? But I'm not sure how the timing works out. But it's probably a pretty big deal, because like the alternative is just damage set on Escoffier, and she does not doing that much damage. For now we go Golden Troop. But okay, let's check ER requirements as well. So 3, 1.8, 1, 0.62, 1.2. Cryo. I mean, Sandrone self-particle should be about 5. Qiqi is 2 particles up to once every 6 seconds, right? But it's kind of weird, because it happens on the coordinated attack, I think. Which means it's not actually every 6 seconds, because the 3rd hit will happen like 5 seconds after the first one. So it'll still be on cooldown. But maybe you can get the energy without the coordinated attack. Like, I'm not sure if you get 2 or 3 sets of this, basically. If it only works on the coordinated attack, you're probably only getting 2 sets of particles. Maybe I can check some of the footage. How about Song of Days Past Escoffier? I mean, if we're using her burst, we just use Noblesse. But we don't want to use Noblesse because we don't want to use her burst. What do I want to look at? I forgot. Doesn't it say particles are generated when coordinated attack or Howl of Frost hits? Where does it say that? Like, if I assume 2, and I guess we battery Escoffier into her, and then we have Yai. Yai particles is 1 per wave, right? This team's rotation would be like 2.2-ish seconds on Yai, 1 point something on Qiqi, 1 point something on Escoffier, about 6 seconds, then 14, so about 19, 20. 19 if we burst every other rotation, 20 if we burst every rotation, probably. What was I looking at for here? This was 19 with burst every rotation. Okay. Maybe 19 is happening, sure. What was Flip getting for rotation length on this team with Qiqi Escoffier? He didn't look at Qiqi Escoffier. Qiqi. I mean, Qiqi Nicole is basically the same, right? He's doing 18.5. Yeah, I'll just do 19. No, but this is 18.5 with burst every other rotation, right? So that would be like 19.5 with burst every rotation. Maybe I should just do 20. I don't know. Yeah, let's do 19 or 20 based on energy requirements. So either way, that's 6 particles from Yai. 4 on field, 2 off field. 5 proc happens off field. Yeah, this is pessimistic particle generation, so we burst every rotation, no problem, right? Is that true? Maybe not, because I guess it would be this. But still, 121 is relatively trivial. Energy kind of doesn't matter, because even with pessimistic assumptions, we still don't really need to build ER. If you use an attack stat, say, do you want to use the M Goblet / Sands? I'm not sure. I mean, it depends on the rest of the team. Like, generally, if you have neither of them, they're both as good. But if you have a lot of them, attack is better. Because the formula for attack scaling is linear, and the formula for EM scaling is not linear. So generally, because you tend to get a lot of external buffs, attack main stats just tend to be better. But this team specifically doesn't actually have any EM buffs. You do have some EM multiplier buffs, but the way that EM multiplier buffs work doesn't interact with Elemental Mastery in that non-linear fashion that EM usually scales with by itself. It scales linearly, basically. Do any of our buffs fall off here? No, because Sandrone bursts snapshots now. Dude, that's actually such a godsend for these teams. What do you want to run Qiqi on TOM and not one of the healing sets? Because the healing sets are kind of bad. Like, Clam was, like, okay-ish for damage on Kokomi release. That was a long time ago. Nowadays, it's basically worthless. And Song of Days Past scales with your character's damage percent. And guess what stat Sandrone doesn't build? So it's just kind of bad. It does a tiny little bit, but it's just a lot worse than TOM. Now, is it better than do Shred Physical with her and Qiqi heals a lot? Surely it's viable? Klugi. What are ER Rex on Yai and Qiqi? 0, because you don't burst on either of them. You burst on Qiqi C6, but only on Qiqi C6. Because the thing that you have to think about is that Sandrone doesn't have a strict field time limit. She can always just do one more E and one more charge attack if you want to stay on her for longer. And the reality is that the DPS of Qiqi's burst for the animation time is worse than just doing an extra charge attack on Sandrone. So it's just not worth using. If you're on Fischl instead of Yai, then you might as well, though. Why? Just spend more time on Sandrone. Like, there's just no reason to try to do damage with things other than Sandrone. That's why you don't Yai burst. That's why you don't Qiqi burst. That's why you don't Escoffier burst. It's just less DPS than spending that time charge attacking on Sandrone. Which I think is a pretty big design failure. Like, her kit should lend itself to wanting to use your support's bursts in between charge attacks for cooldown. Like, for her heat to cooldown. But it just doesn't, because her E has 0 cooldown. Like, the cooldown of her E is less than the time that it takes to do a charge attack, so, yeah. Can't I ignore that and just do my support burst? I mean, you can. It'll just do less DPS. You're not forbidden from doing it. You're allowed to. It's just not going to increase your team's DPS. Unless your Qiqi is C6. If Qiqi is C6, then you should use the burst, but it's not even that big of a deal, honestly. If you do have C6 Qiqi, how much ER would be good? Qiqi's ER requirements aren't that high with her C1, especially in a triple cryo team. You probably don't want to run Fav if you do this, but then Sandrone ER requirements go up a little bit if you're not running Fav on Qiqi. Alright, Sandrone's ER requirements go from 120 to 130. You probably still run Fav, honestly. I don't know. But Qiqi ER requirements, like, her burst is basically 40 cost if you have the C1. So her ER requirements are basically nothing in a team like this. Total damage in 20 seconds. This seems low. It seems lower than what other people get, I think. I mean, let's take a look at the rest of the team first. Huh. That is a lot lower Stellar Conduct damage than I expected. Did I fuck something up? I multiplied by crit multiplier twice instead of EM multiplier. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. This is EM main stat, right? No, this is attack main stat. Then EM main stat is actually still worse. Okay. But this is still pretty fucking low. Like, the calcs I saw had her at about half of Sandrone's damage. And that is not what I'm getting. So, What the fuck is that all about? Because that's a lot less than half. Did you know they reverted the hit rate? Yeah, I did. I mean, I guess technically, I could say we get one more wave here, but it's still quite a bit less than half. I guess it's because they weren't using Escoffier, they were using Nicole, right? When I was looking at Flip's calcs, yeah, I was about half, but that's with Nicole, not with Escoffier. And Escoffier is better for Sandrone damage and doesn't do anything for Yai damage. Okay, I guess that makes sense then. This probably is right. And we just need to calc Escoffier damage, and then we can compare that to the Nicole variant of it. What's the rotation? Yai triple E, Qiqi E, Escoffier E, Sandrone. How does Sandrone snapshot help in that team? Without it, your Qiqi EM or your Qiqi reaction buff, it only lasts 15 seconds, so it would run out before your burst hits, and then you wouldn't have the reaction buff on your reaction that does the most damage. So what you would do, and what you were supposed to do before they made it snapshot, was use your burst in the middle of your rotation instead of at the end, and you lose buff uptime on your last charge attack instead. But now you don't lose buff uptime on anything. So Sandrone's burst is an important part of her damage? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Not every team wants to use it every rotation, though. Because, like, it is very nice. But if you don't have the burst, you can just do one more charge attack. It's not like you're completely cooked. And you don't even have to. Right? In a team like this, you can just say, okay, I don't have the burst, I'll just swamp off early. Alright, I'll do 3 charge attacks and then swamp off and do my setups again. Because none of these cooldowns are too long. Yeah, it is like Molani burst, exactly. However, unlike Molani, Sandrone's teams tend to generate more energy for her. So there are a lot more teams that can use Sandrone burst every rotation. Because units that generate particles from off-field tend to also apply their element. So Molani basically never catches hydro particles from anyone else. Because in order to catch a hydro particle, you generally need to do off-field hydro damage, and that prevents Molani from vaping. Whereas with Sandrone, off-field cryo app is helpful, not harmful. So with the buffs to Qiqi that allow her to actually generate energy, Sandrone will be on the field when Qiqi generates her particles, which is really good. Yeah, actually, that's exactly. It's a lot more similar to Zabai Burst, actually. Well, not necessarily, because, like, Zabai Burst replaces normal attacks, which do basically no damage. Qiqi generates energy with the buffs, yeah. It generates energy up to once every 6 seconds when she deals damage. And based on when the damage happens, you'll get either 2 or 3 procs of it. And it's 2 particles each. So 4 or 6 chrono particles. Is Noblesse Qiqi plus TOM Escoffier Wars and Golden Troop. That forces you to use Qiqi Burst, and you don't want to have to use Qiqi Burst. I mean, it's fine to use, but it's like, you don't feel good about it. Noblesse is an upside, Qiqi Burst is a downside, and they basically cancel each other out. How about the other way around? No, because Escoffier's Burst is even worse than Qiqi's Burst. Yeah, if Qiqi's C6, then you want to use the Burst anyways, so then it's just pure upside to have her on Noblesse, but I mean, it's not a big difference, though. Like, it is very close. Just put Sandrone on Noblesse. True. Do Qiqi's stats or talent levels matter? If you're not using the burst, no. The only thing that matters for Qiqi, like, build is the burst if you're using that. The damage that it does. Are bursts only for Stellar, or can they make these characters better even without Sandrone? Some of them are only for Stellar, some of them aren't. It's a case-by-case thing. Qiqi's E cooldown is 15 seconds always now, and she generates particles always now. I'm a big Yai fan. I wouldn't really care if she wouldn't be the best choice in the future if something new comes out, but is it likely that she'll be playable in the slightest? Yeah, she'll be playable. I would expect Yai to end up in a similar, like, Yai in Stellar Conduct teams to end up in a similar state to, like, Zhongli and Zabai teams once we get the full Stellar package. Like, it's very usable. There's no real problem with using it. It's probably not going to be part of the best DPS team, but it'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, maybe not Qiqi and Nefer teams. Because, like, it's not that Qiqi and Nefer teams is actually doing much. It's just that nothing does much in the last slot in Nefer teams. Whereas Zhongli is actually doing things, right? He's getting you more Moondrifts, and he's getting you Shred. It's just that there's competition that's kind of just stronger than he is. But it's not that big of a gap between Zhongli and Ilua. And there are upsides to using Zhongli. We're expecting Sandrone to get 3 teammates here to fully replace her. Not necessarily. Because not every unit that could be good for Sandrone would end up being played with Yai. Like, if you end up making a unit that has a similar role to Yai, is putting Yai on the team better than putting Nicole? I mean, I guess a C1 does make an argument for it, so maybe. But it's possible that it won't be. I don't have Qiqi. Who's the best after Qiqi? Probably Diona? You know, I wonder if Diona's even worse. No, Nicole? Oh, yeah, Nicole is good too. Right. I forgot. Is Beidou even better than Fischl? The problem with Beidou is uptime and cooldown can line up pretty poorly. Doesn't Fischl give more hits? Fischl doesn't have that many hits if you're not doing normal attacks. Oz is just 1 hit per second. So if you're not getting the C6 and if you're not getting the A4 because you have Cryo Aura and you're on-fielding a Cryo character, like it's just not that many hits. I guess we can look at C2 Qiqi, but it doesn't really matter. It's just plus 50% attack. Yeah, 30k DPR. It is what it is. 2k DPS. Yeah, so this team is at 111 here. Do you expect them to release sub DPS replacements for Yai in 7.0, 7.1, or rather Electro/Power supports? I think it'll be a mix of both, honestly. Like, if we get a good Shredder, like, Escoffier kind of goes out. But, like, if the Shredder doesn't shred Electro, Yai is kind of cooked, right? Like, it's basically just up to them. Anyways, let's take a look at Nicole. Nicole over Qiqi or Nicole over Escoffier? Let's start with Nicole over Escoffier, I think. So, two-piece. Would it be TTDS? Also, what would the energy requirements be if we lose the Escoffier particles, but we now get extra... I mean, realistically, right? This was the pessimistic one. Just getting 6 here. And then Nicole is 5, right? 131 ER. You probably play this team the same way you play the Zabai team, where you don't go out of your way to build ER, and you burst like 3 times per 4 rotations or 4 times per 5 rotations. Yeah, we definitely don't want to go TDDS. So like Old Sworn, but it doesn't matter. It can be Flowing Purity because we don't even burst, so we don't care. Nicole is really a fucking fraud here, huh? Like, she's probably the best attack buffer here because you're buffing Yai, but like, Jesus Christ, she is bad. Does a shifting Q usage on the rotation make you lose buff uptime on the charge attack after Q? It can. Yeah. Would Fab Funnel to Sandrone make a big difference on Nicole? Wait, I am doing Fab Funnel to Sandrone, but I forgot to put it in. 125. Okay, that's probably worth trying to go for every rotation. We lose like a 1 attack roll. Oh yeah, Nicole does snapshot attack when you E. That is true. Do you get the wins buff? You have to N1E, right? Does N1 even give wins? I forgot. Yeah, it does. I guess there's no downside to N1E because you probably have swap cooldown if you try to E-swap anyways. Okay, I guess you can use wins then. I keep forgetting that she snapshots attack. There's no need to do N1. Do you get the attack buff even if you don't N1? Like, does it snapshot after you get the attack buff and not before? I mean, it doesn't really change anything. Just makes it a little bit more comfortable to play. So that's cool, I guess. So I have the Nicole version slightly worse here, which isn't surprising to me. If anything, I would expect Nicole Escoffier to be better than Nicole Qiqi. So let's take a look at that. Oh, this team is actually slightly better than the Qiqi one, which makes sense, right? I think that's what Jackson had as well. Like, it's about 2% better in my calcs. Jackson had it about 2% better as well. Makes sense.
Goose on the loose!
Yeah!
Goose on the loose!
Goose on the loose!